Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. I'm Graham Elwood. Got some tour dates coming up. Come on. I'm going to be in Hawaii. This is from Hawaiian Brian's, a really cool pool hall. I'm doing some gigs in Hawaii March 22nd through the 25th. Tour dates are below. I'm also going to Appleton, Wisconsin this weekend, March 17th and 18th. My Patreon is below, which you can contribute for as little as $1 a month. You start giving more than that a month, there's cool exclusive content you get, and you're supporting independent media because I don't have a corporation in my ear telling me what I can and cannot say. Today I want to talk about an article that's in the Washington Post written by Gary Sargent. It came out February 23rd. Democrats can resist Trump's mass deportations. The Washington Post, it says democracy dies in darkness. Okay. Washington Post, you're kind of part of the corporate media. I don't, just because I'm reading these articles doesn't mean I wholly support some of these institutions, because the Washington Post has done a lot of buckling to the powers that be. They're not the hard-hitting investigative journalists that we might want to believe. But basically what this article is going into is, so if Trump is talking about expanding deportations, and what this article is suggesting is that the way for the Democrats to try to block this is through the financial cost of it, because Trump wants to hire another 10,000 ICE agents, and what that is going to cost. This article estimates it might cost as much as $4 billion a year to do this, to hire these new Department of Homeland Security employees and ICE and train them, and the cost of, it's really preposterous if you think about it. And I'll go into what I think about what we should do about having undocumented people in this country. But here's what this article goes into. In its memos outlining stepped-up deportations, the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, calls for the hiring of 10,000 additional immigration and customs enforcement agents, ICE. The goal of vastly expanding this force is to help implement Trump's new deportation priorities. Under the new vision, former President Barack Obama's old approach to enforcement, in which the removal of low-level offenders and longtime residents was de-emphasized in order to focus limited enforcement resources on serious criminals and recent and/or serial border crossers, has been scrapped. Now, under Trump's newly created enforcement priorities, many more millions of undocumented immigrants are considered targets for removal. But as former acting head of ICE argued to me, the risk is that if the current deportation machinery expands its focus, that could divert resources from focusing on just the serious criminals, potentially making us less safe. So expanding the number of ICE agents might be necessary to seriously expand the population of people targeted for removal, and this is what the DHS is trying to do. But Congress has to pay for that. Estimates vary on the cost of hiring, training, and equipping 10,000 ICE agents. But a recent Politico piece estimated the cost to be as high as $4 billion a year. And Politico also reported there's, in that article, that there's serious logistical things. Like this, when Trump is talking about this, and he was talking about during his campaign, and now he's actually trying to implement it. Are we really what are we going to do? Send out a couple million soldiers to round up a couple million undocumented people? Is that really what's going to happen? So this country will just full-fledged be a police state, and people are just going to get rounded up out of their homes like a totalitarian dictator does. Okay. Yeah, that won't send us into a civil war at all. Democratic aides I spoke to today said they see a chance to mount a major stand against Trump's expanded deportations by opposing the enormous additional expenditures that will be required to hire all of those additional agents. It's unclear how or when Republicans might try to appropriate the billions needed to pay for Trump's expanding deportation force, but at some point, Republicans are going to have to decide whether to do this, and if so, how. Yeah, that's where they could trip them up, because the Republicans are all about tax cuts and, less spending, and then they always want to spend all this money on deportations and the military and all this other stuff. Obama spent a fair amount of money on the military as well. This is ridiculous to me on so many levels. If I was the president, I would do a path to citizenship, and what I would do is, because okay, people that are here in this country illegally that are committing serious crimes, yeah, I would try to get them out. I would give people a path to citizenship. And here's what that would entail. First, like requiring them to learn the laws of the country, taking classes, learning English. And also then they would pay, I've talked about this before, like several months ago, but like if you took all these several million people that were illegal and gave them the right and gave them the path to citizenship, right? They had to go to take some tests. They had to learn about the laws of this country. They had to learn English, right? Even just fundamental English classes. And then if they pay to get a state ID, that's a lot of money. Several million people paying whatever state IDs cost, varying from state to state, whatever, 70, 80 bucks, 50 bucks, 100 bucks, whatever it is. Think about how much money that would be, right? And then you're encouraging people to participate in this society, because right now you have several million people that are probably not paying any income tax because they're undocumented. They're just paying sales tax. So then we would get the income tax revenue from them and the ID revenue from them, and they would be more engaged members of society. They would learn English, they would understand the laws, and we would have a good citizen. We need a good citizenry. We need decent people in this country. And yes, the serious criminals, absolutely, I think, send them home. And what this does is it builds up the country and it brings in revenue. And as I've talked about before, like in the state of California, you can't get car insurance unless you have a driver's license. That's why there's so many uninsured motorists, is because people that are here that are undocumented can't get a driver's license, so they can't get insurance. So then there would be more people insured and more people that we know who they are. And right now, if someone does commit a crime, they can just give a fake name. There's no ID. We don't know who they are. You know, if you or I commit some kind of crime, everybody knows I have a social security number. I have all that stuff. We all have that way to track. So this is, and will the Democrats use this to try to stop this? Man, they better hope so. If they were smart, they'd really get loud and fight this hard, and then they would have this giant Latino constituency that they could actually use to maybe win an election if they did real progressive stuff. Trump, again, it's more short-sighted policy from Trump. And, this is a thing to petition your lawmakers about, I think, to stop this and come up with real reform. Because this is going to lead to chaos and anarchy if Trump is just sending out troops and stuff to lock people up. And again, it's more spending, and he's cutting. I know he's already said he wants to cut spending for any sort of program that helps people or the environment. He's just going to go into Homeland Security and military. So that's a horrible plan. But let me know your thoughts on this, guys. It's a very complicated issue, so I'd love to know what you guys think about it. And also, the Patreon is below. Like and subscribe. And the link to this article is below, and share this with your friends. Thank you for watching.